All right, today we're going to dive into something I find truly fascinating. It's a concept that completely rethinks how we deal with dense, printed text. It's called the Folio map. And it basically asks the question, what if the future of deep, focused reading isn't on a screen at all, but on a single, brilliantly designed sheet of paper?
But before we get into the solution, we've got to talk about the problem it's trying to solve. Because as much as we all love books, trying to learn from something really dense, like a textbook or a technical paper, well, it comes with some sneaky challenges that are baked right into the format itself.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're trying to connect an idea on page 50 with a diagram way back on page 20, and all that flipping back and forth just shatters your concentration. Or maybe you're scrolling through a super long article online and you completely lose your sense of where you are. It feels like you're floating in space. Your brain just has no anchor.
That really gets to the heart of the problem. On one side, you've got physical pages. They give our brain these stable spatial anchors. You know that feeling when you remember a key fact was in the top left corner of a page? That's it. But that benefit gets totally wrecked by all the constant page flipping. And on the other side, digital scrolling gives us instant access to everything, but it just erases those anchors completely. The whole point of the Folio map is to get the best of both worlds. So how do we fix this? Well, this is where we finally meet the Folio map. And what's so cool is that it's an innovative and, get this, a totally non-digital answer to a very modern problem. So here's the big idea. Imagine taking an entire chapter of a textbook and laying it all out on one single large sheet of paper that folds up nice and neat. Instead of reading top to bottom, page after page, you actually read it in a spiral, starting from the very center and working your way out. The whole chapter, every connection, every idea, it's all visible at a single glance.
And this is where the genius really kicks in. The reading path itself tells a story. You start your journey right at the heart of the idea, the foundations. Then, as you spiral outwards, you move through the method, then the results, and finally you land on the synthesis, the big takeaway on the outer edge. It's just such an intuitive flow from the what to the so what, and you never, ever lose sight of the big picture, because it's all right there in front of you.
Okay, let's dive into the details, because the design goes so much deeper than just the layout. Seriously, the Folio map is packed with these incredibly clever features that are designed to guide your attention and just lower your mental strain. This one might be my favorite. It's called the de-emphasis halo. It's a super light, 5% gray background that's printed on the words the author considers less essential, like connecting words. It works like a built-in passive highlighter. Your eyes are just naturally pulled towards the crisp black text, the key ideas, without you even thinking about it. It's this gentle visual nudge to help you focus on what really matters. But it's not just a passive thing. If you want more control, there's this optional transparent ruler with a slight gray gradient. You can actually slide it over the text to dynamically crank the de-emphasis effect up or down yourself. This completely changes reading from just consuming information into an active co-reading experience where you're really in the driver's seat. Now this is just brilliant. The Folio map uses touch. Those less important words can be printed with a microtexture, like tiny dots or slight embossing that you can literally feel under your fingertips, but you can barely even see. This adds a whole other layer of information without creating any visual clutter. It makes reading a multi-sensory experience. How cool is that? And the design gets even smarter with these things called on-sheet lenses. For a really important concept, the author can pop in two tiny boxes. The S lens, for science, gives you the hard facts, the claim, the evidence, the uncertainty. But right next to it, the K lens, for kid, gives you an analogy or a metaphor to help you build your intuition about the idea. And again, they're distinguished by different textures that you can feel, not just by color, which is incredible for accessibility. Now, you might be thinking this is just a cool art project. But no, the Folio map is being treated as a serious scientific hypothesis. The designers aren't just hoping it works. They have a really detailed plan to prove it. So what are they actually testing for? Well, they've got these super specific, measurable goals. They're going to use eye tracking technology to see if the Folio map actually reduces how often people skip lines, if it cuts down on those little backward eye flicks when you reread stuff, and if it helps you find key info faster, all without hurting your understanding or, making your brain feel like it's working overtime. And they've set some really ambitious targets. We're not talking about a small improvement here. They are shooting for a 20% drop in skipped lines and a whole 25% reduction in the time it takes to find a concept. The fact that these are pre-registered targets, well, that's the hallmark of really rigorous science. And the study itself is legit.
They're using a randomized crossover trial, which is basically the gold standard for this kind of research. Every person in the study will read text in both the folio map format and a traditional format, while these high-precision eye trackers record exactly how their eyes are moving. This is serious stuff.
And one of the best parts, I think, is that accessibility was clearly built in from day one, not just tacked on as an afterthought. Using textures instead of just color is a game changer for colorblind readers. The format can be adopted for low vision users, and there's a really strong hypothesis that features like that de-emphasis halo could make a huge difference for readers with dyslexia or visual stress. So let's zoom out. What could all of this actually mean? I mean, if the research proves what they think it will, the folio map could have some really, really big implications for how we learn.
Just think about it for a second. Students who are slogging through dense STEM textbooks, professionals trying to make sense of technical manuals, lawyers trying to navigate incredibly complex legal codes. Basically, anyone who needs to not just read, but deeply understand and navigate complex information could get a huge boost from this. The grand vision even includes something they call a folio map library. So instead of hauling around a giant 500-page textbook, a student would just carry this slim, lightweight case with maybe 10 or 12 folded maps inside, one for each chapter. It's a modular, portable, and honestly, a much less intimidating way to tackle a whole semester of learning.
And that brings us to the final, really provocative thought here. In a relentless push towards digital everything, the folio map makes you wonder, could it be that the most innovative solution for deep, focused reading isn't a new app or a better e-reader, but just a smarter piece of paper? Really makes you think, doesn't it?